Hello, welcome to our monthly AIRIE Asks, a conversation series where we talk to our artists and residents about their experience and about their practice. We are AIRIE, artists and residents in the Everglades, and my name is Arsimmer McCoy. I am the residency coordinator for AIRIE. I am wearing a black hat. I have on a black long sleeve shirt and black pants and sneakers. And I wear glasses. And I have locks. And our artist in residence here today, Chris Friday, our July artist, has on a white long sleeve shirt, gray tights, black sandals, and a black head wrap and glasses. We're twins. Yeah. So a little bit about AIRIE. Artists in Residence in the Everglades is a 501c3 non-for-profit operating in Everglades National Park and the greater Miami area. We believe artists are essential problem solvers who can reveal new narratives and solutions for social and environmental change through their artistic storytelling. AIRIE supports a paid month-long immersive residency for artists in the park to explore the intersection of arts and the environment. In addition, AIRIE provides its own gallery space, organizes local events, and fosters community with a diverse team engaged in the Miami art scene. You can learn more at the AIRIE website about what we do and via Instagram, AIRIE Everglades. So, hello, Chris Friday.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Aside from being our artist in residence, this is my friend, my fellow collaborative artist, my sister. We have been knowing each other now for 3 years, I want to say. 3 years ago, we kept hearing about each other from different people. Everybody's like, you got to meet Friday. Everybody's like, you got to meet Arsimmer. And one day we did it and found out that we're both from the same part of the city. Down south, stand up, okay? Down south, we got something to say. The South got something to say, you know? She is a resident of Ghouls, right? I'm from Richmond Heights, so intersections, all different types of intersections. And so one day we met up and sat at the park and made a decision that we were going to work together, learn together, grow and evolve. And we have done just that. And I'm so thankful for your friendship. I'm thankful to see you here at the residency. And the evolution of your work as an artist has been incredible to bear witness to. So I want to read the bio of the homie. Chris Friday is a multidisciplinary artist based in the city. Her portfolio features large-scale works on paper, murals, video, ceramics, projections, photography, comic illustrations, installations, and social practice activism through curation. Friday's work has been included in exhibitions locally, nationally, and internationally. Recent shows include One More River, presented at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee, and group exhibitions such as Rest in Power in 2023, curated by Deborah Willis and presented at New York University Center for Black Visual Culture. The Cartography Project, presented by the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. in 2022, and Who Owns Black Art, presented by Zeal Press in 2019. Yeah, you did all that. That's you, yeah. My friend has received numerous awards, fellowships, and grants, including the AIRIE.Foundation Knights Champion Support Grant in 2022. She's been at numerous residencies, the GMBCV People's Choice Award at Miami Beach's No Vacancy Jury Show in 2021, and residencies with Mass Mocha in 2023, Anderson Ranch Arts Center in 2022, and the Visual Arts Residency at Chautauqua Institute in 2019. And I'm really glad that I can say Chautauqua. And the only reason I can say Chautauqua is because Chris has said it so many times. Because if you look at it, it says Shakita. I don't know what, but it is the Chautauqua Institute. So I just want to talk a little bit about something you said in your artist statement to kind of jump us off. And that your work explores themes of rest, privacy, and supplementing the archive as a way of advocating and claiming space for Black bodies that are historically excluded from it. How?
That's not as simple a question as.
We got some time.
So I generally work with two different bodies of work. I have the drawings and then I have the ceramics. The drawings are of people that I love very much. You being one of them at one point. Not that I love at one point, but you being a drawing at one point. But yeah. So the bodies are people that I love, and then I use them often as interventions in a specific context. So in the No Vacancy show that you mentioned, I put Black bodies resting in high-end hotels on Miami Beach. And I did that because the city manager or somebody had gotten exposed for his emails saying something like, oh, we don't need Black tourists on Miami Beach. Like, we don't want them here. And so I'm always like, okay, well, he doesn't want us here, but I'm going to put these big Black bodies that nobody can ignore right in these high-scale hotels as a way of claiming space for us and holding space. So for that entire week during Basel, those Black bodies were visible 24 hours a day. And so that's one way. And then with the ceramic body of work, I pull iconography from like our lives as Black people, because there's always this dispute over what is our culture and what's not. And the truth be told, you know, I don't know your family background, but descendant of slaves, we have we've been disconnected from our ancestral cultures. And so what we've always done is take what we have and make it into something else. And so all I'm doing is kind of excavating the present for what culture actually exists. We know what it is when we see it. And so, you know, creating that collection that I call unofficial, but it's more official than I you know, maybe want to take credit for it being, but just creating that like unofficial, official collection of our culture and our history that means things to us. That's another way of claiming space for us in history, especially Black history in Miami. And because that's being, you know, that's being bulldozed.
Yeah.
You know, we just talked a little bit, you know, before this interview about the Hampton House and all of those things. These iconic historic moments in Miami that are at risk of being lost forever. Like, claiming that space, holding that space for that history, I think is important. So that's what I try to do with my work.
Absolutely. Just this morning, we received word that Dr. Enid Pinckney, champion of the Hampton House and champion really of the city of Miami, and keeping our historic sites and preserving our history, has passed away. So this particular AIRIE Asks is happening on a day that I think maybe the saddest day for me in this city. Someone who tirelessly, and sometimes without any help, made it so that we could have the Hampton House today. And even to the point where during our Basel, they had this amazing showcase of artwork of Black artists in the city of Miami. That was incredible.
Donna Marie,
who curated that exhibition. And so, you know, I guess that's the point, right? Is that it's important because the elders are leaving.
They're leaving.
They're passing on, and they are now leaving it up to us. You know, what happens to the Hampton House now? What happens to the iconography if we don't claim it? And that's why it's important. Even the small talismans that you make, the hair barrettes, right? Which is one of my favorite. And that series with the Black bodies in the windows was also one of my favorite series, because it wasn't so much about our trauma.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, you know, pain. It wasn't about, you know, you could have spun it on his head, you know, this man stating something like this in a bunch of emails about not wanting black tourists. You could have had people banging on windows inside, but instead you chose to show us resting and disrupting this space with rest and peace, and having people figure out, well, what's going on. And is that a part of it, the mystery?
Absolutely. And I think the mystery, but also, you know, it's that element about privacy. You don't get to know what's going on. A lot of the times, you know, living in this black body, I don't know about, you know, your experiences, but mine, girl.
We're being formal, you know, because, but you know.
But like living in this black body means almost an inherent loss of privacy at times. No matter where you are, somebody is wondering why you're there. What's she doing here? You know, like, and it doesn't matter if I paid to be there, if I own the thing that I'm in or on, or if this is my land, somebody is looking at me like I don't belong. And so that intervention is all about responding to that question of like, why are you here? Why are these bodies here? With mind your business. You don't get to answer. That's why the figures are like often turning away from them. So you don't get to see their face. You don't get to see their emotional states. It's all about like that. No, I don't owe you any answers. So just let me be.
How did that come to you? Like, how did that, you know, this idea, because like I said, you dabble in so many different things, photography, the comic illustrations, which I love. How did it come to you that like, I'm not going to let people have the luxury of knowing what's going on here? When did that thought hit you?
I think it was because I ended my undergraduate study at New World on a teaching crusade. I was analyzing like mainstream media for what it was teaching about black bodies, because it was like, why do people feel this way? Like, if they knew black people, they wouldn't feel this way. So what is it? What could possibly be convincing them that we are a certain way? And of course it's TVs and movie and music. Like they're getting, you know, one side of the story, so to speak. And so I undergrad was like, my art was more towards the teaching. Like, oh, let me just tell them about black culture. Surely if I teach them, they'll know. And then I think at some point I realized that you can't teach people who want to be ignorant. And so no matter what you said, you know, to counter the points that they're making, they're not listening to you. They're not hearing anything that you say. And so I think the George Floyd summer and everything that led up to it, it was a series of like black people existing and then being imposed upon by people who didn't think they should be there. So it was like the guy in the park bird watching. It was the kid who got accused of stealing some lady's cell phone, and she went ballistic in the hotel.
I remember that, yeah.
And we're watching all of this through social media.
Yeah.
So not only is it happening,
our news source.
it's you know, it's happening, but it's also being broadcast worldwide.
Yes.
And then when George Floyd happened, the entire world watched this man. Oof. Every time I think about it, the entire world watched this man
being murdered. Yeah. We could say it.
And I just thought how public that was. He couldn't even die in peace. He couldn't even, like, not in peace, obviously, but the death, the cruelty of it was broadcast every freaking where. So that's where I think the issues of privacy really, really, really just, oh God, that's where it got to me, because it was like, I need a break from this.
Yeah.
It's 24/7. Every other day is somebody being murdered on camera, and we can see it. We're there in the worst moments of their lives. We all get to see it. We all get to make commentary, stupid, idiotic commentary or whatever. But I don't know, for me that changed something. So I went from teaching to just like thinking about if our lives have to be public in this way, what do I want to say? You know, like I have to add something I can't just respond to what I'm already seeing.
Exactly.
And just say, well, here's a counterpoint. I don't want to do counterpoints anymore. I want to do like alternatives. Just like, here's something else. We don't have to participate in this. And so the drawings are in chalk because it's that aspect, like it's black paper and it's chalk, because I'm talking about old school traditional learning. We need to take it back to the basics and teach something else about black bodies.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be trauma. It can just be rest. It can be privacy. It can be leave me alone. So that's where I'm at.
I like leave me alone. I think that's the thing. It's, leave me alone, leave my children alone, leave my community alone, leave my neighbors alone, leave my money alone,
Leave our deaths alone.
leave our
deaths
lives
alone.
Yes.
That's it.
This body of work, was this before or after Chautauqua?
The drawings?
Yes.
The drawings are after Chautauqua. They started the George Floyd summer. So right after that, I was graduating from my master's program, and it was during COVID.
Okay.
So our show got canceled. We did an online show, but then the next year they were like, we're going to let y'all do it again. So before the George Floyd summer, I was going to display ceramics. And then after, it was that huge 20-foot drawing of just the black body resting.
And who is that body that's resting?
That's mine.
And I'm going to stick beside him. Also a fan favorite, I think it's because, those who know you personally, they know it is your husband, but it's a black man resting.
Which one?
We're talking about...
Oh, the 20-foot tall is me.
The 20-foot tall... I'm sorry, my fault. Sorry,
I have drawn him.
Yes, you have drawn him. That one also, yes. Body yaddy yaddy. We all remember that one. Okay, we love that one, which is an incredible piece. But yeah, just to segue into the piece of your husband, also such a gorgeous piece, and I believe he's resting with your daughter. Something also that is such a convoluted conversation about black men's presence and their children and the connectivity black men and children, and regardless. I know, the presence of the black man in children's lives. The police officer that lives in the neighborhood is everybody's, uncle, the representation of the pastor, the corner store kings. So your work, I love that all bodies get included, all conversations get included. And is that important to you? That it's not the pretty person, or it's not the slim person, or it's not, the light-skinned person. Like, it's all people. And it's even people directly connected to you. Why is it important for you to showcase all these different types of bodies like this?
I think because that's what's real. And that's always what I'm trying to get back to. It's like just teaching about what is real, what's true, what's authentic to me and the people that are around me. It's that simple.
I want to shine a little light on something you said when talking about innovative storytelling. And that you said storytelling is already the way information is passed down from generation to generation. So as a tool to educate, preserve, and celebrate the natural environment is very useful. So storytelling in this space, in this Everglades space, what has it brought up for you? What are there any things or resources or experiences that you've had that you're like having an aha moment maybe?
Yes, I think there's been a couple of them. When I first checked into the dorm, somebody had curated a nice book selection. And among them was...
Who could that have been?
Their Eyes Were Watching God was one of the books that was on the shelf. And I remembered that book, from reading it a long time ago. And the characters moved down to the muck, picking beans. And I was like, wait a minute.
You in the muck.
We in the muck. and so immediately it made me think about my grandma. And when I, did an interview with her, not too long ago where she did the same thing. They moved from Mississippi to the muck and was picking whatever the crops were at the time. And so I'm like, okay, so we've been here for quite some time. And yet I grew up in Homestead, not too far away from here. We never came out here. So I think a lot of my time spent here has just been outside, walking around, biking, doing whatever, like just to feel or try to feel what it's like to be a part of a place that I grew up adjacent to, but not like feeling that it was mine for some reason. And I don't know what that is. I think it brought up like histories of labor in Black cultures where the outside is a site of like work. It's not a site of rest for us. And so being out here and just doing that, just resting in the environment, it's kind of like just ancestral, flipping it on its head. You know what I mean? Like, dang, my grandma worked this and I'm getting to ride a bike through it. Like, it's something, I don't know. I'm still,
I think it's from the time that I spent here, it's very transformative. It's almost eerie sometimes because you're not sure what it is that's pulling you in. And what's really interesting is I recognized my relationship to the beach versus my relationship to here.
It's not the same.
Not the same. Completely different, right? And I don't even think it's a matter of like what the beach is here in the city of Miami, you know what I'm saying? And like the tourism and things like that. I really think there's something ancestral about it. I think there is a difference and you can feel the connectivity. I feel more connected to the mud for some reason as like than I do to going out to the beach and have been out here more times now realizing than I have to the beach. So yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from with that.
It's interesting. And so Carrington Ware, she's another artist here in Miami. She came out with me one day while we were outside just walking around, and we went to the Gumbo Limbo Trail. And Carrington grew up in a place that's more outdoor, woods, and this was one of the first days here, so I'm out there and I'm seeing the panther signs and I'm seeing the bear signs, and I'm like,
I have yet to see a panther or a bear. I have yet. And I've been a couple places here, deep in here, so I don't know if you're gonna see this panther or this bear.
Okay, I get that now.
Yeah.
But you're one of your first days here. You out there, you don't know what to expect. And I'm watching Carrington, she's real comfortable. She's just walking straight through the trail.
Yeah.
It's the hammock, so you can't see the sun. It's dark in there. The mosquitoes chasing us.
But Carrington is nah.
She was
that's a
so
southern girl.
Hot. Exactly, right? And so I'm like, how are you not afraid? I asked her, I'm like, how are you not afraid of this? And she's like, I'm like, there's the bear sign, there's the panther sign. And she says, well, it's because you know certain things. If it was quiet in here, then you'd have to worry.
Right.
But if the animals are scurrying around and everything's still alive, there are no predators in the area. And I'm like, so there are things you learn because you have a family history with the place. And like she was able to teach me that. And I got so comfortable after that. It was like, oh, I hear the squirrels. It's okay. Everything's fine. Like, just knowing, like, I don't know.
That's real.
It mattered. It mattered a lot to have somebody who was already comfortable help me be comfortable. Like, it was good.
And it also matters to have that knowledge, to take that knowledge back home to the city, right? Because we still are very much embedded in country living, in nature, right? Nature is always trying to find its way through. I always, laugh when I'm driving on the highway and I see a whole tree coming up out the side of the freaking highway. And it's like, yeah, because nature is like, we're going to be here. Y'all can build streets, whatever you want on top of us, but we're always going to take it back. And it's important for children in the city to know because they're surrounded by animals, they're surrounded by food. In the event that like you need to know these things, this is survival skills, right? Just the fact that like it gets silent, that's a problem. But it also is a conversation about like noise pollution too, right? Why we're also so comfortable in chaos. Like we'll be in Miami, and probably the reason we both had that situation with it being so quiet out here is because we're used to just noise, ambulance, fire, police talking, music, gunshots, all of that, right? And we get out here and it's like, it's too quiet. That's a problem.
I've been sleeping real good though.
Eventually, when you finally allow yourself, you know, to say, all right, let me just chill.
Let me feel it.
You do feel it. You do go into a state of calm.
It matters.
I want to go back a little bit and talk about something, you know, your comics specifically, the comic illustrations, because you also did some work a while back with ICA, yes, with the students of ICA. It wasn't ICA? Which one was it? Where you did the chalk drawings and Nicki Minaj?
Ooh, you asking me to go back? Hold on.
I know.
That was 2015, but no, that was a exhibition.
That was an exhibition. Okay. Where's this love for comics comes from? Where's this love for illustration? Okay. Because I had Archie's.
Me too.
Archie. Do you remember Cheryl Blossom?
Yes.
They ain't like Cheryl because Cheryl was a threat, okay? Cheryl was a redhead. She took Archie out the game, and Reggie and Jughead. It was a time when Cheryl was in the building. But I loved Archie comic books. I used to always go to the grocery store and beg for the Jughead digest. So yeah, talk a little bit about that.
I had a best friend. When we moved from Homestead, I met a girl named Tanisha. Hi, Tanisha.
Hi, Tanisha.
She introduced me to Archie comics. She just handed me one, and I was hooked. I bought. I had a collection of maybe 1,000 of those things when my daughter was born. They ripped them up, but I love illustrations. I love comics. I thought I was going to be an animator at one point. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. But then when I saw how much patience it took, you got to draw the same thing over and over, and I was like, nah.
In different expressions.
No, thank you.
Not as strenuous as stop motion, but
no, I don't have that. I don't have the. I mean, I have patience, but not for that. Not for that.
But we did though touch it a little bit because you did have a comic series. Yes, can you talk a little bit about that?
So it was more conceptual. I feel like it'll exist as a comic some point in the future. Okay. When I figure out what I wanted to say. But essentially, that was during my teaching phase where I was like, if there was a black comic series that could touch on not the mainstream media, you know, extremes of representation, so baby mamas and drug dealers, like what's that invisible middle? And that was like the name of the conceptual comic, the invisible middle, the black people you don't get to see, the ones that go to college and have laptops and black Nike hats and do interviews.
I'm the invisible middle. I don't know.
Poets and artists. And,
okay, all right.
We still, you know, but we still know what to do when we hear Cash
time.
Money taking over for the 99.
Absolutely. Because it's culture,
exactly,
and it's a respect of the culture,
exactly.
Right?
So,
I think that also is such a huge part of what I love about your work, and what I love that you try to do is you show that we're not a monolith, but not a monolith in like, oh, some black people, you know, like country music, like, yeah, but understanding that like the man at the corner store is just as wise as the Harvard graduate, as the preacher, as anybody else, and they deserve reverence. Absolutely. And I love, that's kind of like I think where you and I always meet and find like, you know what I'm saying? Find like our creativity and our collaborative in one another. So I want to jump to your new work.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Did You Eat? Yeah. Which is universal across the board. This is something I think resonates, but we know that it's very much centered and rooted in blackness and rooted in the black mother. And so, Did You Eat a question commonly posed by Black mothers, is an installation that takes the form of a perpetual communal meal. A heap of hand-rolled ceramic rice symbolizes the tradition of selflessly feeding the community, allowing visitors to partake in this ritual of love and care by becoming either cooks, helping to create the work, or consumers, owners of the artwork, one spoonful at a time until the meal has eventually been shared in its entirety. This project was supported by National Performance Network, NPN, Artist Engagement Fund, and funding from the Doris Duke Foundation, the Mellon Foundation, and the National Endowment of the Arts. And if you don't mind, I'd actually like to give this commentary in honor of Dr. Enid Pinckney. So here is Did You Eat?
My mama is my mama, but she everybody else's mama too. I would bring my friends home from school or from church, and one of the first things my mama would ask was, "Did you eat?" My mama has a heart for young people. She was always making sure other people's kids were okay. And she just wanted them to know that they were loved and that they were safe with her. Our house was a safe place for them to be. And cooking was always a way that she showed that love. And there wasn't really a limit to how many people she would show love to. I always remember thinking that was kind of an amazing way to be, because it's not like we grew up with a lot, but my mama never hesitated to share whatever we had with somebody else. She would look in the fridge, and it didn't matter what was in there. She would take something so small and make it into so much more. This is me following in her footsteps. Did You Eat is a tribute to all Black mothers who feed the community in their own special ways. Prepared by the hands of Black women, Did You Eat will honor the tradition of giving freely of ourselves, of showing love without reservation, and send the love out the door with you when you leave. I love you, Mama.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
How, okay. When you say heap, because I'm looking at the video, a heap of hand-rolled ceramic rice. So we know what rice looks like. So what this mad genius is saying is that she sat somewhere and cut up tiny pieces of ceramic and rolled it into rice. How many pieces of rice?
Ooh, I have no idea, but there's 12 pounds so far.
12 pounds. A small dog, maybe? Is that like how much we're saying? Like an iguana? What are we saying here?
Real small dog, yeah.
What I appreciate is you had this thought, and you could have taken the easy route. You could have actually bought rice and spray painted it. Like let's be 100. It's not like we haven't seen that before.
Okay.
You could have bought all this rice, spray painted the rice gold or black or whatever the case may be. No one will be the wiser. Hopefully nobody eats it, right? You could have done that. Why, Chris? I need to know the answer. I need to know why it was important for you, specifically for this, to roll this with your own hands and make these pieces of rice.
Well, I think it's about the labor of it, and about the fact that in order to get through the labor, you have to have a really driving, motivating force. Like, the end goal is what is most important. It's not the labor behind it, but the labor is a part of the work. It's, I'm going to give this work away. And so in order to do that, like, whose labor should it be? You get what I mean? Like, in order to mirror what my mom did for everybody else, I have to be willing to kind of, because I think about how much work it must have been for her to feed children that were not her own. I said it in the video, but we did not have a lot of money. We did not grow up with a lot. But at several points during my childhood, we had people living with us. And not because they, arrangements were made or money was exchanged. It was like, this kid is here because their home life is not great. And mom's not going to say they can't stay. So they come, stay for weeks. And now she's got 2 extra kids to feed, and she never, ever, ever turned them down. And so I don't, and this is all while she had like 2 or 3 jobs at the time. 4 of her own kids, and she feeding other people's kids. She was the youth director at the church, so she got a van full of kids sometimes coming to her house. There's labor in that. There's invisible labor. So I appreciate that you're thinking about, all of the, you sat and hand rolled, but most people are not going to think about that. Not at all. Oh, this is cool. Did you cast it? They're going to figure out.
That's a shame.
You get what I'm saying?
That's a shame because the way people talk about fast fashion, you can speak on that with some of these artistic pursuits that we have seen.
I will not.
No shade, no tea.
I will not.
But yeah, because you always being diplomatic, you always playing nice. That's why. And I appreciate that's our yin and yang. That's our yin and yang.
It's not that at all. It's staying in my lane. I'm not even looking at y'all. Y'all do whatever y'all want to do. Fast money has a way of leaving fast as well. So, when you put time into it, when you put effort into things, it matters.
Well, so it's not a matter for me of like, I'm paying attention to somebody. What I think is bothersome is that a lot of this comes on the heels of being a conversation about my experience. I know, right? I got you. Your experience and our elders, and you're just like, no, that's not my narrative. And I didn't tell you to say that. And I definitely wouldn't have told you to do that if I could have told you to do that, right? But I would tell you to sit somewhere and hand roll 12 pounds of rice if you love me for real. If you love me for real.
If you love me for real, you'll do it.
You'll do it.
You'll do it.
And you'll cry and you'll labor over it because it is what they say, labor of love.
Yep, that's it.
And that's what I think about when I think about this. And the fact that people are going to be able to take the rice home. You know?
Free.
And it's free.
You don't have to pay for it. Because love is free. You get what I mean? Like, we got to keep, those are the traditions in particular that I want to keep going. No matter if our neighborhoods disappear, if the culture is here. And we have to remember that. So in every way, and I think, with the art market and the way things are, a lot of us kind of get caught up in the money of it. And how much money can I make from this? The project is fully funded. So my labor has already been paid for. Unlike my mama, who did invisible labor, she didn't get paid for. My labor is paid for. So I'm not finna, take that and say, okay, well, I'm gonna charge an entry fee if you want this free rice. I'm gonna actually give it away because I'm doing this thing that I love, and I'm doing this for people that I love in a community that I love. So it's me trying to be like my mama.
Big shoes to fill. I love
Man.
your mama. Such a beautiful spirit. And I think about the fact that these women, my mother included, people was living in my house too. You know, you remember when you could take all the kids to the youth fair?
Yes. And Santa's Enchanted and all these other
All the
things.
kids.
All
You
these
could
other
literally be
things.
like, all right, tell Aaron he could come, blah, 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 and pay for everybody.
Yep.
Try to do that now.
It's too
Try
much.
it.
It's too much.
You can't, you know? But they did that for whomever, you know, showed interest or wanted some from the ice cream truck or needed to eat at the house.
Girl.
They actually helped the economy by doing this.
My mom, again, she was the youth director at our church. And at times it was like 50 neighborhood kids. And she drove the church van. Sometimes we had 2 services. So between morning service and afternoon service, what you gonna feed them kids? Them 29-cent cheeseburgers at McDonald's?
It's not gonna happen. You gonna have to get them the whole box. A whole box.
We ordered down, man. Like I don't know. They held it down for us.
Yes.
And she's responsible for so many of those kids living because the neighborhoods were rough. And she kept them involved. She kept them busy. She kept them entertained, motivated, inspired. And they just now coming back to thank her because they hated her, you know, hated her guts back then because she, you know, always in my face. They're thanking her now as successful, productive human beings who've gone on to have these beautiful lives. Like, she don't know the impact. She really doesn't know.
Because she wasn't doing it for anything but the love.
That's it.
That's it. And so, you now, as a mama, a mama and an artist, you know, what are some things that you're imparting to your babies?
I have no idea.
Absolutely. That's so real. That's so real.
You have things that you want to impart, but you never really know what's actually going through those kids' head.
Like, facts.
So I hope I'm imparting the value of hard work, of being yourself, of just like regardless of whatever is happening in the world around you, whatever's happening in the culture, because the culture can convince you to do certain things that ain't good for you.
True.
But I just hope that they see like mommy just be chilling, and she's still doing what she want to do. So like that's all. And hard work, love, being yourself. That's it.
You're a great mama.
Child.
I watch you in action. Your babies are amazing, talented, smart. And
yours.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know, to make sure that the next generation is able to rest. Eventually, I hope that we all trying to get to liberation. That's my goal across the board for everybody. Just liberation. So, are there anything that you would like for us to know about your time here, or just what you have coming up next?
My time here has been good. I've enjoyed the natural environment. Besides, like the deer fly, stay away from the bushes.
The mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes have been okay. You know?
Word.
With the repellent, it's fine. But
you
the
need
deer
help.
fly.
Okay.
I'm traumatized a little bit. I was on the bike. You see that path like right outside?
Yeah.
I was on the bike. I called myself about to go ride seaside. I was really feeling it.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, they just...
Hello.
And I'm riding like this. And they're not going away. Almost crashed 3 times. So, you know...
This is outside. People think because this is a residency that they're not going to be in it. Nah, you in it. The house is beautiful. You get to be in a nice little space. But at the same time, when you step out that door, you in the muck. You're in the Everglades.
I was prepared for the Everglades. I don't know what that was. That was something else. But I got to see manatee up close. They were fighting over the fresh water. I had a good time. Oh boy!
I'm so happy to hear. And is there anything that we should be looking forward to? Of course, Did You Eat? For sure, we're looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. But is there anything else that we should be looking forward to from Chris Friday.
Well, I have my first museum solo show next
Ah!
year, May in 2025 at Sarasota Art Museum. And so I'm
Wow.
looking forward to that. And AIRIE is going to be sponsoring a activation of that
Yes.
exhibition. So
Absolutely.
I can't wait. You gonna be in it, right?
Who, me?
I
Zoom
can't
in,
do
zoom
anything
in. No,
without
I'm just-
you. Like honestly,
I can't do anything without you, friend. Like I say, everywhere I am, you are. It's
that's it.
not just about, community. It's about like spirit. And literally everywhere that I've been, you are there. And even when you're not there, I find a way to get you there.
Same,
And you do the same for
same.
me. Um, it's important to have that connectivity. It's important to love people, and love what they do,
Yeah.
and care for what they do and support. And so I'm thankful I can be a support system to you, and I'm so thankful for your support to me all these years. This has been a very, very special AIRIE Asks. Thank you so much for those of you tuning in. I hope you enjoy it. Please visit our website, donate to the cause so that we'll be able to take care of these artists in res. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.